Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Steve?
Yeah?
This is Jeff Maehr calling. I got your phone number from a friend of mine, Jeff Smiles,
Okay.
in Pennsylvania. He's the guy that was having, is still having issues with property tax fraud and all that type of stuff against him. I don't know if you remember talking to him.
Man, I've talked to so many people about that stuff. No, it's real hard to keep track of everybody you talk to.
Okay, well, he had, I think he mentioned my particular case. I've got a case that's sitting in the United States Supreme Court now against the IRS. I don't know if he said he mentioned that to you, and then he said that you seemed interested in chatting with me a little bit about it. Could be a huge upset for the status quo, but he thought...
I remember I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I just don't remember exactly who I was talking to when I heard that. But yeah, that's cool. Great.
Yeah, just
so what's exactly the issue? What kind of... It's just a tax on your home kind of thing? Is that what this is all about?
No.
Or what's the IRS thing got to do, I guess?
Well, it's a different thing than what Jeff's dealing with. He's just dealing with some two areas. One particular in Maryland, it's they're trying to steal his house for a $2,000 tax bill, and they're not crediting his account. It just goes on and on. I mean, there's a huge amount of fraud there, and he's pretty much desperate.
Yeah, I'm starting to remember him. Yeah, I remember he had the place in like Pennsylvania and a place in Maryland, I think.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Now I remember talking to him.
Yeah. So that's his situation, and mine is it's been since 2008. Dealing with the IRS as far as income tax, and they started with summons. They couldn't get my records, so they went after my business records, my bank accounts, my mortgage company, all of that kind of stuff, and then later in 2010 they sent me some assessments, all fraud and all things. But and long story short, I went through 9 different courts trying to stop the summons, and practicing for more than anything, because I don't have anything they can take anyway. But anyway, it's went through tax court, appeals court, and then now it's I'm preparing a second copy. I filed one in form of pauperous because just telling them I didn't have the money to do it the professional way, and they accepted it, and they docketed it and offered the IRS to respond, and the IRS waived its right to respond, and then they turned down my informa pauperis and stated I had to jump through the hoops for form. So now I am trying to put that together. But anyway, it's just
is that district federal court?
That's the United States Supreme Court.
Oh, United States Supreme Court. Okay. So you managed to work your way up there, I assume, right? You started at the district court, then appellate court, and then you went to the U.S. Supreme Court?
Right.
Oh, wow. Well, that's very nice.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, anybody that hears about it, and it's been a long road, but so I've got till February 18th to get this professional one done. I'm trying to finalize the document itself, and it's got to be printed, professionally printed, and literally in a book. It's got to be made into a book. So that's kind of expensive. But fortunately, I've been getting some donations and stuff like that to help pay for it, because it's $300 or $325 or something like that just for the docket fee for the case itself. But Jeff said that that you had some experience with the IRS or something, if I remember right.
No, it was the property appraiser tax collectors in the counties here in Florida for taxing these people's homes. And we slapped the county real bad here in the district federal court. They didn't even answer the complaint. They went straight to mediation and settled for tens of millions of dollars and gave them the house back. Because they were approved with the Florida statutes, Florida Revenue Code, and everything, that all taxation is commercial. Chances are you probably have no business even dealing with the IRS. I mean, the average guy working at McDonald's has no business filing any forms with the IRS, but they got everybody duped into doing it, just like they have with the property taxes on people's homes.
Exactly.
It's all fraud. But it's all commercial. You have to have a business license, an excise license, and the property appraiser has to be sure that there is some type of profit-making business activity going on upon the property before you can put it on the tax rolls. And they're not doing it. They're just going around taxing every square inch of land they come up with.
Yeah.
And that's illegal as the day is long. There's a reason why the colonists picked up muskets and started shooting redcoats, and that was primarily what it was all about. And for people to believe that there's laws that allow your property appraiser to put your home on the commercial ad valorem assessment roll is completely crazy, because they just dumb people down so bad they don't even know what taxation is, you know?
Yeah.
They think it's something we have to do as our duty to keep the wonderful freedom system going. So that means you're telling me that in order to keep the wonderful freedom thing going, we have to let these public servants loot people's homes and steal them for a couple $1,000 they can't even prove you owe, so they keep the wonderful land protection rights rolling? I mean, it just shows you what a hypocrisy it all really is when it gets down to it. But they got people so stupid they don't have a clue what's going on.
I know.
Well, that's pretty much my deal. I had a good case, and of course I've nailed the city on many occasions with their code enforcement crap, stealing people's automobiles out of their carports, and we've slapped them really good and got settlements out of them. That's kind of where I've been, you know. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience, so like people call me, I was like, I don't know anything about that. I mean, just because I've done a couple cases doesn't mean I'm, you know, some guru. I've got 20, 30 years of experience at it, you know.
Right. Sure.
But I understand jurisprudence, and I understand causes of action. I understand the criminal code real well, and now I really probably consider, most people consider me a master of the revenue code as far as the state of Florida at least is concerned. But it's all relevant. When I'm reading through the Internal Revenue Code, it's all the same stuff. The definitions of person, a taxpayer, does not describe the everyday living, breathing, carbon-based man in his private capacity.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I haven't filed since 2002 was the last year that I filed, and I just stepped away from the whole stinking system, and now I've got a case in there with some good questions. I've got about 20 questions that are going before the court, and everything from the true definition of income to proving somebody that is a taxpayer compared to a non-taxpayer, the right to tax outside direct and indirect, assessment authority, some good stuff. It's going to be an interesting case, but it sounds like you could be a good help to Jeff. He's even though I know it's different state laws and everything, but it's chances are, he's pretty good at research and stuff, and if he just knows, what to look for and maybe what to do, you might be able to be a good help to him, because they're going after that house, and it's egregious what these guys are doing to steal his house. He paid $1,000 some odd dollars, and they failed to credit it, and then they jacked around and they moved it, and then they tried to send it back to him 4 times, send the money back, even though they gave him a receipt, showing that it was paid. It's just amazing. They need it. It's a huge lawsuit. I mean, that's a multi-million-dollar lawsuit just waiting, and I guarantee you they would settle out of court. But he's totally broke, and I don't have the money to give him, and hopefully I'm going to be working on trying to get some work here and get into something to where I might be able to help him with that, to get an attorney. Just all it takes
every case I've ever done, we've used the indigency filing, the federal case especially. Now this replevin where they took this guy's car, it was like $300 in the circuit court, and that's all we had into that. The key was laying out a complaint so dead in the water that these people had no authority, because the city charter makes it perfectly clear under the duties and power section that all ordinances only apply to city-owned and controlled property, period. It has nothing to do with the average everyday man's home and what he has up in his carport or in his garage.
Yeah.
So I had them so bad, and mainly what I went after was the tow company. I didn't even go after the city, but the tow company brought the code wacky, the chief guy in, and he had put nothing on the table to show cause hearing to show he had any authority to tell the tow company to go do what they did. So the judge was trying to protect the tow company, refused to sign the writ of replevin. I barked, grievance, and just canned crap out of him, where I ended up with another judge, it's Rodriguez. As soon as the new judge came in, the tow company decided to settle with us, which they gave us $120,000 for taking an $800 1984 K car. Because I had him for grand theft auto and armed robbery of a private dwelling. Had it on video. As soon as we heard they were screwing with the car, we set up a video camera and hid it up there in the carport area and filmed these guys grand thefting an automobile in broad daylight with 4 armed cops.
Yeah.
No warrants, no nothing. And I had law all over the place. I mean, Supreme Court's ruled 1 billion times. I mean, I got tons of just cases here in Florida where even the state courts here said, if the code idiots want to go, they got to have a bona fide warrant. And they didn't have no warrants. They just came and took it because they didn't like the tag on it. And then, of course, the DOT code makes it clear that you don't have to have the car registered or tag on it if it's not being used on roads of the states. And they never caught on roads of the states. They were just sticking with this guy because they think they can. And so So we had them in such a spot, the complaint was so well written, there was no way they could respond to it. Even the lawyer for the tow company said, we can't defend this. Right there in the open court, he made that comment. So they came and settled with us. Then in the property tax issue, they took this guy where they no due process, no nothing. See, they don't do that here in Florida. They just create these phony tax deeds, have some cellar, some back room someplace. Next thing you got some help bill, he's banging on your door when they know when you're leaving because he just bought your house from the county. The county never owned it. I got case law as long as my leg says. The only person that can convey property is the guy that has, the title and interest to it,
Yeah. Well,
so I was able to nail them on conversion and just all kinds of fictitious obligations, false securities, falsifying the assessment roll. I went after them for all that stuff, the federal and state criminal code, and they settled because they have no way of defending it. There is nothing in the state revenue code that has a procedure of how to not only tax a non-commercial home you strictly, or a non-commercial property you strictly as joint owner, but there's no procedure to take it into court or do anything, which makes perfect sense because it's not taxable property. But they've been getting away with it because people are so dumb to the procedures and due process, they just think these guys can do this stuff. Well, you can pay your taxes, 10 grand, they're able to take $250,000 worth of home. Then they cops, some 10 cops over there who help to protect that the tax deed recipients loot everything he's owned. Everything he had was all destroyed. I mean, musical equipment, DVD, CD collections, satellite TVs, everything you could think of as being your home this man lost. All over some measly $10,000, $12,000 that, is a big fraud. And I had it all laid out in this federal Title 42, 1983 complaint touching on RICOs and Bivens, and they had no way of answering it. So they went to the early settlement table. And we sat there for 4 days negotiating on how much money they were going to give him, I had a $400 million claim in the suit using all the punitive damages and all that crap I could come up with to get almost a $400 million price tag on it. And they settled for $38.2 million, gave him the house back. Oh, and they arrested him. When they came to the house and to they arrested him, charged him for trespassing on property that he still had legal title to. To this day, they still had, he was the only guy that had real title to it. What the county did was all fraud.
Yeah, I know.
I had them buy the gonads on it. I guess that's pretty much the nutshell version of it. I mean, I could go on and tell you it would take hours for me to explain every little thing these chumps did and how they just violated every law in the book to do what they did. And they truly armed robbed a private dwelling. And they converted title to it illegally and did all this crap with it and made false, warranty deeds and all kinds of crap. And the tax recipients sold to these kids. And then the county and the lawyers had to go and pay these kids like $500,000 to leave the house and all kinds of. It was really crazy what they had to do and what went on with this thing,
Well, that's what they actually did. That the Baltimore County sold his property to Aon Financial, a separate company. Again, obviously outside of law, outside of due process, outside of So it's so he's got a huge case. He's got a few health problems. He gets migraines. I don't know. I just wish I had the money to buy or to get an attorney on it, because I guarantee you that that's a multi-million-dollar win without any shadow of doubt.
I'll tell you, man, you'll be lucky to find an attorney who is going to go against the municipality. Every time I found where attorneys really did it well, they're all disbarred and not able to practice law in the state, because that's what they'll do. And frankly, under jurisprudence in general, only the people really can litigate their rights and go after these people. And that's why we're having these problems. They're all expecting these bar minions to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Most of them, I don't think understand it. They don't really understand what's going on. They think there's laws that allow them to do it too.
Right.
That's what was so cool. What was so cool because the federal judge was a female. Now, of course, they euthanized his animals. He had a couple cats and a bird and stuff. And right away, they had animal control come in and take the things off, and they just killed them. So I had all this stuff all laid out in this complaint. When this federal judge, I think, read this complaint, and then the fact that the county idiot lawyers could not answer the complaint. So you have to remember, this judge is living in a house probably paying a stupid Avalon commercial tax on her own too, doesn't understand the process either. Now you woke up the judge, and they sure as hell wouldn't go in front of a jury and listen to John and me, because I trained John for 2 years, is how long it took to file this thing, because I want to make sure he understood the revenue code, the taxation thing, to where either one of us could litigate this thing and actually put it on point, to where the county could not stand up and go, oh, no, man, Mr. Steve and Mr. John got it all wrong. Here's the law, here's the constitutional procedure that says we can tax this place and do all this stuff to keep this wonderful freedom system rolling. All you can do is read the Federalist Papers. They made it perfectly clear that the taxation procedures that were set up were there to purposely make sure that the government was not ran off the backs of the people. Otherwise, there'd have been no need for a revolutionary war.
Right.
And so, like I said, we had it pretty well down, pretty well laid out in the complaint, really, really well done. I spent like a year writing the damn thing, because, I'm not, like I said, I have no 40 years of experience or some crap like that, and been to federal court 15 times or whatever, and won all these suits. So it took me a while to figure out exactly what to do, reading all the pretrial practices, procedure manuals, all the court rules, spending I don't know how much time in American jurisprudence, once it's state and local taxation, constitutional law, property rights. I mean, that's just all the research you had to do to really get this thing laid out in such a way that you can show that the law obviously makes it clear that, you know, these people have no authority to do what they're doing.
Right. No, I know. It's a learning curve on getting all that in your head and getting it down. Believe me, I know. 4 years of doing the same, 10 years actually, I've been in the process of dealing with the IRS and among a lot of other things, for foreclosures we've been working on. We've got a law club here, et cetera, et cetera. So, well, I'm glad. So I don't know if there's anything you might think you could do to help Jeff get something put together. I mean, he's been putting in some good stuff, and they just ignore it. They just walk all over him. The courts ignore what he puts in. It's like gag.
You're talking about the state courts?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why you just have to go straight to federal court over this. I mean, I would screw with the state courts. Yeah, they're going to protect their cronies and their bosses and the corporations and the hell out their pensions. They're going to protect them. That's what they basically try to do here. And I use that to set them up, though, for the 42 suit in federal court to show we're totally non-compliant with the procedural due process, and therefore they violated Article 1, Section 23 of the state constitution, which says every man shall have right to regress and access to the courts, and that they're denying you of that by their conduct. And once again, they got no way of showing how they can just deny your claims just because they feel like it, or don't want to hear it.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured. I love paper trails. You keep giving them paper. They keep sending you back stuff that's good evidence against them. You set it up.
Yeah, they don't answer nothing. Before they even took this man's house, I knew enough about the public records request law. We were actually sending public records requests to the property appraiser and tax collector, asking, where's the procedures? What sort of statute in the revenue code are you using to do this? And then the 12D, which is the administrative code, is the other procedures in the Constitution, and they never could answer them. And then they're sending them to their lawyers to answer them. Man, come on, you got a public official in office who's doing this crap, and he doesn't know what statute and law that allows him to do what he's doing, and he has to give it to the lawyers. That was a big red flag that we were on the right track.
Yeah.
And then we used the public records request and, of course, the federal thing to show that we asked for all this stuff. Then I was able to use motions in limni to make sure that they couldn't bring anything into federal court of anything at all because we asked for it long before we involved the courts and before they did the damage, you know. So I had to pretty well then use interrogatories admissions with the same stuff, asking, you know, admissions, do you have a right to due process, yes or no? And then, of course, interrogatories asking the same questions. What statutes are you relying on to levy a commercial ad valorem tax on non-commercial property strictly the dwelling of the owner? And they didn't answer none of the stuff. That's why they went straight to mediation. And, of course, we objected. Of course, the federal courts, that's what they want. They really want you to try to settle it out of court. So that's one thing I like about the federal courts, man.
Yeah.
At least here, that's how they handled it really well. Of course, we objected to that, and then the judge said, no, you got to give them a chance. So we knew they were going to do that. But it put us in a nice position. Like I said, they had a $400 million claim. Every time they wanted to give the guy like $800,000 at his house back. It's like, yeah, okay, right. We're sure the jury will give a little closer to $400 million, so let's just go to trial. And we just kept playing that game for like 4 days of mediation. Finally, they came up with something that John was happy with, and gave him the house back. He wrote their bogus criminal record against him where he spent 3 months in jail over all that crap when these people came to his property where he committed no crime, harmed nobody, and they just come with this fictitious paperwork and arm rob his home and drag him out of there and arrest him for trespassing and resisting with violence, and all kinds of crazy stuff that they did there, you know. And then the judge, in that case, just rubber stamped everything they did. We ignored all the motions we filed, and they had 2 attorneys that were paid by his family who did nothing, filed no motions, nothing, just trying to go to trial. And basically, no, you know, if you lose, you'll go to jail today. And that's what these idiots were doing the whole time. So he went through like 3 lawyers in a year time, and none of them filed one defensive motion whatsoever. So I had a total case for ineffective assistance of counsel. So I had to say, and we even did a vacate judgment after he took the plea deal just to try to limit the damage. So he didn't go to prison, and they were offering some probation if he just went on the resisting with violence thing, which was a 3rd-degree felony, you know. That was their highest crime. The rest were all misdemeanors, the trespass and everything. So he took the plea deal. We did a vacate judgment. The judge just denied it with us like that. No, nothing at all. Didn't do any research, so I just had it looking really, really bad that the judges and the judicial system were truly protecting the municipal corporation for the armed robbery and theft of this home. And that's how I laid it out, and they had no way of defending it. And, I mean, like I said, I go on and on and on about that case, but that's really all I got going for me. You know, it's funny how people call me like I'm some guru over this, you know what I mean? I don't know if I got lucky or if I just did my homework well, but it worked, you know, so.
Well, that's, you're standing up on the law. That's our rights. and just being willing to do it, being willing to see it through. You know, you didn't start it and then say, well, I'm not going to do this. You got to stick with it and go. That's why I figured when I first started this, I figured, you know, this may end up in the Supreme Court, and you know, so be it. If that's what it takes to get this adjudicated, because it's never been properly, you know, adjudicated in any court in the country ever. So it's got to be, it has to be done as far as my case. So
I'll tell you something that I find interesting. I have a friend, Randy Kelton, in Texas. Now, they had an issue, well, actually it was here in Florida. He was helping a friend here in Florida with an IRS case. They just brought the IRS agent into state court and charged him for violating state laws for the procedure he was doing. Something makes me wonder if in the long run, if he'd be better off, or in your case, if you'd probably gone after the IRS agents into state court. Because I think there's a rivalry going on between the federal judges, or the federal courts, and the state courts. Just the way they handle themselves. To where, see, if you're dealing with the IRS in the federal court, yeah, they're going to railroad all around you and do everything they can to stop you from getting anywhere. But if you brought that IRS agent and the IRS into state court going after them for the crap they did in filing fictitious paper in the public records without, you know, adjudicated liens, things like that, which is, you know, they have to do and they don't, but I think you probably would get farther hit it that way than you would. Same thing like here. Like I say, if you go down here to the courthouse and file some claim with code enforcement shops, they're going to do everything they can to railroad around you and stop you from getting anywhere with it and all that kind of stuff, you know. That's why it's nice if you just take that case straight into federal court where they have no friends there.
Well, that's still an option. You know, even if this doesn't go anywhere, you know, or they rule against me, or they don't take the case, or whatever it is, although they've technically already have taken it, and I've got some other really powerful constitutional things that we can do actually to go against the judges themselves in their persons, even the Supreme Court justices. Pretty powerful stuff. But yeah, a suit against the individual acting in their personal capacity. And
professional.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
because
both sides bring them into state court for violating state procedure laws, you know, for things like the way they filed the liens, because here in Florida, a lien is not a bona fide lien until you get a judicial decree on it. That's why some of these patriotic idiots who are running there, like, creating these liens on judges and filing them and stuff are getting thrown in jail for it because it's illegal. That's when I go after code enforcement here. That's what they do. They want to sit in their back room and make up these crazy liens on people's homes and go file them in the public records without any judicial decree.
Well, they're filing them. They're notices of liens, but they're not real liens. And they're being filed by the county clerk and everything as actual liens, which is a securities violation as well.
Well, yeah, I think so too. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of experience with a lot of that kind of stuff, but I do understand the basis of, you know, what due process is and what it's all about to get a lien. It's one thing that you find. See, a mechanic's lien is almost a notice of lien. He's got to go to court first and get a judge to go, yep, John owes Joe this much money. You get an order from the judge. Now you have a bona fide lien. You can file in the public records and actually do some kind of commercial lien process to, you know, recover your money. But if you just go do that without that first part, then you have violated the provisions of the Constitution. No man shall be deprived of private property without due process of law.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The IRS does it all the time. And they even shut down people's bank accounts and everything without an actual judicial hearing where both parties are brought together at a meaningful time and all that kind of crap that the case law has said, and of course jurisprudence is all about, and just create this crap and put these people in financial fines without there even being a decree that you actually truly owe any kind of debt of any kind. And like I said, people haven't really been, I think, approaching these things correctly. They tend to work off the surface instead of really understanding from the surface down to the bottom of the ocean what it's all about, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, it's a learning curve, and it boils down to ABC 1, 2, 3. Once you get through some of that stuff, it's easy, it's understandable, but it's just the hard part is just doing it, you know?
Yeah, it's a 50-50. I mean, I've been sticking with this stuff for, 15 years. Maybe started with the traffic crap back in the mid-'90s, I guess. Got caught into that, listening to George Gordon and people, and said, yeah, it doesn't make any sense why I should have to deal with this, crap with my car. So I started playing around with that in my spare time, and I just grew from there. And, of course, I was being yanked for a property tax, and I bamboozled the property appraiser and taken my property off tax roll 7 years ago using the exact same procedures. Just shoving the constitutional provisions and the statutory provisions, the definitions in its face and saying, man, to me it looks like you guys are collecting money you don't have authority to collect. That violates this title code over here for any public servant that takes more of a fee than he's supposed to. I forget the exact wording of it. I think it's 407412 or something like that out of the Title 26, I believe, or Title 28. So anyhow, I was just making a point that I was able to bamboozle because I did my research before I started talking to the man. And that's been a problem I've had with a lot of people. They just want to listen to me talk for an hour and then go run down the property appraiser saying take my property off the tax roll without any procedures, any tax procedures out of the codes or their statutes or whatever to show that this guy is in non-compliance with the legislative enacted laws of the state. They're fudging the record for financial gain.
They want the easy, real quick magic bullet.
Yeah, and people don't really want to sit down and do the study and then understand the court procedures, to understand the pretrial procedure manuals and read the court rules, understand the rules of evidence, understand what motions are and how to use them, when to use them. That jurisdictionary course was really great. I got that like 7 years ago, and that was really nice. It really gave me a great idea. If you have jurisdictionary, have you ever seen that before?
Oh, yeah, I have it. I have. Actually, it reminds me, a friend of mine has those discs right now. I got to get those back.
Yeah. And that was really a great little wake-up call just to keep me on track. I still, like once a year, go through it just to kind of refresh myself, to keep myself on track of what it is I need to, the procedures that I have to do, and of course I have the 4 pre-trial practices manual, pre-trial criminal manual, the show cause manuals, the paralegal manuals for Florida, and I've gone through all that stuff and read it, and I understand exactly what I needed to do before I even started screwing with these people. And that's what I found a lot of people don't want to do. Most of them are already in a jam. They're weeks or months or whatever away from something horrible happening, and they just want to start filing crap with no idea what they're filing and why they're filing it.
Right.
And you're not going to get nowhere with that. You're not going to do it, because once they realize that you're just shooting and throwing crap in the fan to see what sticks, man, then they just know they can bamboozle and railroad you around and ignore you because they figure you're not going to know what to do, or you're not going to do nothing about it. You're not going to know what to do, most likely.
Well, a lot of people start to panic. They're getting into the situation and they're just getting desperate, and and I understand. I mean, it's a horrible, thing to be losing your home or whatever it is. That's something's about to happen, and you feel powerless. And so I'm surprised there aren't more people going down and shooting a lot of those people dead.
Well, I don't think we're not too far from that at this point, but it's sad that the school systems have done people down so bad to this, and they don't know how to read statutes, they don't understand how to interpret the codes, and that's the main thing I've seen. And like I said, over the last few years, I did a radio program a few years back, and I've had calls from hundreds of people over that with these issues, and it's just really sad how these people really don't have a clue how the court systems work, And, that's what I'm noticing here, with people. And like I say, I don't claim to be a guru at all about it, man. I don't know if I got lucky or if I had some great teachers: Dave Merlin, Randy Kelton, Eddie Craig, Howard Griswold, Bobby Roman, and these were guys that really knew their stuff. And I just knew from the beginning that what they were saying made sense, because you got these other idiots out there telling you, the statutes are their laws, you can't use statutes. Well, okay, whatever. That's all crap, man. The statutes are our law. They were enacted by the legislature to protect the people, and you have to use them whether you like it or not. It's code pleading. Whether you like it or not, that's what it is, and people want to try to get around that and do other crazy stuff. No, the courts are corrupt. Well, yeah, they're corrupt, but if you're not doing the paperwork right, then you're never really going to have a claim against these guys,
Yeah.
And the key is filing it exactly and writing it exactly the way their own manuals teach it. I got RICO prosecution manuals and stuff. I've read all this crap and seen exactly and read tons of complaints, that I've been able to get a hold of. Case law up the yin gang. I don't know how many. I've probably read 500 cases on every matter you can think of. One with seizures and, property tax issues and due process procedures and violations. I just read all kinds of crap, man,
Yeah. I know.
So that's how I sort of got there, you might say, and I did all that before I really... See, I never had an issue with these people. I mean, I've never had an issue with them. Well, I take that back. Back in 2005, the code idiots mowed my grass. I worked in the shuttle program, and I was out there, so I'm in Orlando, and of course, the shuttle program, the Kennedy Space Center is about 50 miles to my east. So I stayed out there for about 3-4 days one week, and I had that Bahia grass, and when it's raining really bad, it just grows like crazy. Well, code idiots did some bull crap. And then I guess 10 days later, they came mowed the grass and tried to charge me $300 for it. I took them into small claims court, went after for trespass, destruction of property, and abuse of process, and they settled out of court for $5,000. I was totally freaked out. I said, man, I got something here. And then when about 2 years later, they took my friend Ted's car out of his carport, and we did the same thing with a repleven there, and they settled with us there. And then this thing I just did just the first of last year. The guy got a settlement over this guy's house and got his house back and stuff, showing that the property tax crap was all crap. I mean, there is a property tax, but it only applies to commercial properties, like McDonald's and DuPont, and, just go down the list of any corporation you can think of. That's who owes an ad valorem property tax. And sure, it's only the average everyday man just looking for someplace to eat, sleep, and screw at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're abusing that. That's how they're doing this. And they're doing it because they dumb the people down so bad to it, they don't even know what the system's all about, what it's there for. So that's my nutshell version of it. Of course, people will disagree, but whatever.
No, that's pretty much the facts. There's no question about it. It's an unconstitutional, illegal tax on most people, and we're working a lot with. I don't know if you've gotten into any of the land patents or allodial title type things. Those are pretty
I studied it pretty extensively. The land patent doesn't mean a damn thing, and everyone has a allodial title to their property. There's no other way you can have own property in this country. That's the only procedure there is to own property. I don't care if it's written on toilet paper. If you have a bill of sale of some kind or some kind of deed made up, that property's yours and you own it allodially in perpetuity. So I found a lot of those issues are what I consider to be rabbit holes. Okay, chasing a land patent crap has nothing to do with why they're taxing your property. It's all just the criminality and the ignorance of these people because they're not being trained properly.
Well,
they're supposed to know what they're allowed to tax and how to tax it, but they're not. You get this property appraiser, he's elected into office, he walks into this room with 20 people who've been working there for 4 years, going, here's what we do, here's what we do, then you just sign this, and that's your job, woo! And that's where it's going. That property appraiser has no idea what his real true job definition is, man, not a clue. And that's really what, even the IRS agents don't have a clue what the IRS code is all about.
No question.
They truly believe it belongs, that it applies to every man walking the earth, or at least in the United States, the boundaries. That's what they're told. That's how they're taught. And they never read it. They've never read the internal, and I've read about all of them. I mean, I got the 1926, 24, 26, 34, 39, 58, 56, and 96, and whatever. I've read through all of them. So I need people have it. And same thing with the property taxes, the state revenue code. I've read the whole damn thing out 50 times because it took me that long just to really understand it and be able to piece everything together. Almost like a, what do you want to call it, like a, connect dot thing to figure out exactly what these people are supposed to do and how they have to do it.
Yeah, it's a jigsaw puzzle. You got to.
It is, but that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. The key is they just don't teach people this stuff. If the public schools were for real, you'd be learning how to do this stuff by the time you got out of junior high school. Easily high school, this would be, these courtroom procedures would be taught to you, because that's the whole ideology of what the Founding Fathers put in place to make sure we can protect our rights from any infringement by whoever.
Absolutely.
And they make sure you're completely ignorant of it.
I agree.
And that's why it's been such an ordeal to teach myself even, because I was never much of a reader, when I was a kid. I liked riding my dirt bikes and playing around with my, my synthesizers and things like that. And so when this all came, I had to start reading this stuff. I spent years just trying to understand the traffic code. And luckily, like I said, you had mentor people that were kind of way ahead of you that helped kind of lead you in the right direction with it. And over the years, I've just kind of grown into one thing to the next,
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I mean, I got a great story there on it. The key is very few people have a clue. And like I say, most people don't bother with this until something is on the table they have to deal with, and then they're frantic and trying to figure out something. They're going to call somebody, get some silver bullet paper cure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's a hard. I mean, when you're busy trying to make a living and you got a family to take care of and feed and on and on and on it goes, and all of a sudden somebody attacks you. That's why one of the things that is one of my goals and one of my dreams is I've got a website called foundationfortruthinlaw.org. I've already talked with a number of the top attorneys in this country, top constitutional attorneys, and one of them who's no longer with us, Tommy Cryer. I told them, I said, well, would you guys be interested in being a part of an organization that would have funding and we would be able to take, be proactive and start to help the little person and go after these guys and start to go again, bring 42 USC suits to, go at them with 18 USC and go after these guys, because it's just the foreclosure industry itself is $1 billion, cash cow. if we had the right facility. So I'm working to try to get funding for this foundation, and because all we have to do is get money just to get it started. Once it's started and those attorneys are working and they got paralegals and we start to take these cases, the money is going to be rolling in hand over fist, because they'll be wanting to settle. And once this word gets out, maybe we could start to make some headway in against a lot of these things. And we got to start at the county level. We've already got a 42 USC here locally by some friends of mine who have filed it against the county commissioners and the county government for their corruption. But we just need I just need to get some bigger money to get these attorneys going. And once we get it going, though, it'll be self-perpetuating, no question about it.
Well, I kind of sort of not into the attorney. So the last thing I think you need is an attorney. To me, the most dangerous man in the courtroom is going to be your attorney.
Well, if you've talked with, like Ed Rivera, Tommy Cryer, he was great. Who I've got 4 or 5, Jeff Dickstein, all these guys that are they're writing great stuff. They're, let's see, who's the jurisdictionary guy? He's
Graves.
Yeah, he's, I've met him. He's, went to one of his seminars some years back. And these guys are on the ball, and they're actually teaching other attorneys how to, like in the foreclosure area, that's what he's doing, is teaching attorneys how it's such an egregious violation of law on so many fronts, and he's teaching them how to go after these guys, and the people the attorneys are starting to, their eyes are getting big, and they're looking and they're thinking, wait a minute, this is a huge lawsuit potential, across the board. Millions of people in the country.
Yeah, I agree with that. Good luck. I've tried so hard to get just my local neighbors and friends to get involved, and they really just, I can't get nobody to do nothing here.
Yeah.
Even though they've seen the success I've had, they just, that's really cool, that's great. But they got time, or they got the same excuses, got to work, got to do this, got to do that, and we all do. Yeah, we all did, I retired from Boeing in 2008. That's kind of what really allowed me to really get the time to sit down here for 5-6 hours a day and read this stuff and research and do. But I was still actively involved in it in many forms before that even. So, you got to make the time. That's really what it boils down to. You got to make the time.
Yeah, and you're in a good position to help someone in Florida. Anybody with property there, anybody in that circumstance, it's already ready-made. You've got the whole, cookie cutter, as it were.
Pretty much. Well, every case is a little different. In this day, out of all the criminal complaints I've looked at people that they've done, I've never found one yet I could just change the names and the dates on it and file it. I usually have to pretty much just do them from scratch, and that's the key. You almost have to be able to do them from scratch, so.
Yeah, but you've got, the key is that you've got all the law, you've got the statutes,
you've
got the pattern.
There's no doubt I got that down. And I am helping some people, but I explained to them, they have to understand the core rules, they have to litigate the thing. That's the way it works. You can have the best paperwork in the world, but if you can't walk into court and back it up verbally, then you're not going to get nowhere with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to stress with people. They just think they can take my paperwork and go run and get the same results I did, and then when it doesn't work out for them, they're like, oh, dude! It's like, man, I told you. Did you read the rules of evidence? Or do you understand the art of cross-examination if you have to do that? Depositions, they don't know, and that takes years to learn. It's like, to me, it's like playing a musical instrument. You're not going to talk to me in one night and then the next day go play Foxtrot or piano concerto on the piano. It's going to take you years to get to the point where you're able to play the piece right, And this is the same way to me. This stuff is the exact same thing, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, there's a learning curve, and it's, I find it fascinating, because as you get into it, it's like, you're right, like music or something. I know nothing about it, but I'm sure that as you start to get into it, all of a sudden you see all these applications. You could pick up a guitar, or you could pick up things. You know what the music is, and you could, you can carry over from one instrument to another a lot of the knowledge that you have, even though maybe the expertise on the instrument itself is a little different.
That is the key. Even if you're the greatest piano player in the world and you say, I want to play guitar, it'll probably still take you a good year or two to really master the fingering technique.
Yeah, sure.
You keep it clean and get the strumming thing and the picking thing working. Unless you're really some virtuoso of some kind, you might pick it up a little faster than most. But and of course, I play bass guitar, and I play bass with synthesizers, piano, and organ. That's my deal. I can't play one chord on the guitar, And I can't play any mouth instruments, or I never really tried. Don't care for trumpets and trombones and saxophones and stuff. Just not my favorite instruments. But I understand them, though, and I know how to get the notes out of them. But as far as mastering and playing them, it's just, it'd take me, at least, who knows, a year to probably get the clarinet down and play it to where I can play it well without, squilling or squeaking the reeds and things, And, so, yeah, to me, this is the same thing. Just because you understand this type of law doesn't mean you're going to breeze at the other type of law. You're still going to have to go through the to really understand the elements, how to write the paperwork and keep it in context with the proceedings. And that's just an art. Art is just something you have to pick up by just doing it and researching it. And that's the problem I'm finding with people here. Like I say, most everyone that calls me is in some dire straits. I never had someone call me and go, no problem. Just thought that was interesting. I'd like to get my coffee on tax roll. What do I need to do? How do I need to do it? Well, you're going to have to learn this, and read lots of that and lots of this, and that'll probably get you where you need to be, and then you can go attack your property appraiser for falsifying the records and just really pin it down to where you might just take it off the property tax roll, which is what I did. I didn't have to go to court. I just read the crap and started submitting these public records requests, and he wasn't answering them. He calls me up because I guess he looked at the record when I wasn't in any dire straits. So when they see you coming in there as a wounded, you're behind in taxes, you're just so far away from possibly losing your property, then they just really bamboozle around you. When you can walk in there totally paid up and no issues, you're just asking straight-up questions about how they do what they do, and they have no answers for it, then nothing puts them in a very nervous position then.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I tried to dwell on people to do over the years of just what I do, these little radio programs and tell people how it works, but all I get is people calling me with issues of, hey, I got to do this, they're going to sell a tax deed, or they're going to do sex certificates, or they're going to blah, 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 in a week or a month or 6 months of blah, blah, and it's like, wow, it sucks, man. It really does. And all I can do is tell them, try to do this, try to do that, and then they want to go file a court action. Oh, tell me what to do, I'll go file that tomorrow. It's like, dude, it doesn't work that way, man. It's not like you're filling out a credit card application or a magazine subscription, okay?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's like you say, they're in a situation and they don't have the 6 months or the year or 2 years or whatever it is to do what...
I've even told them, do something. Try to borrow the money, do something. Just try to keep these people off your back long enough so you can get a fluid understanding of what's going on so you can truly write about it and litigate it and
right.
do statutes. I mean, I can sit here in Florida, I can name them off by number and give you almost verbatim quotes of what they say has to be done, and the administrative codes, the constitutional provisions under the taxation sections of what's exempt and what's not exempt and all this crap and how it has to be assessed, and I can do that. That's why I blew away the property appraiser. I was hitting him up so hard with this stuff right there in front of him, he just wasn't unable to really answer my questions, and figured to save himself paid, he just took property off tax roll. And it's been 7 years, and I hear nothing from these people at all, which is the way it's supposed to be. I mean, anyone living in a regular old neighborhood with 3, 4-bedroom houses and swimming pools and 2-car garages, property appraiser has no business at all talking to you there.
Yeah.
And that's a proven fact as far as I'm concerned. And, of course, when you read through the statutes, there's no provisions for that. I mean, everything you talk about this, you don't live in a single-family dwelling unit, and that's all commercial stuff for apartment complexes and all this crap. And even when you read the stuff, that's what it talks about. Cooperative communities and cooperative condominium associations and crap like that. And then if the stockholder lives in one of them, he can file for a homestead exemption. That's what homestead exemption is all about, when you live on the property that you conduct the business venture on. Because they can't tax the place you live in. That's what the whole homestead thing's about. Once you understand they can't tax the place you live in, that makes perfect sense then. How can they be taxing my non-commercial property that just does nothing but, the dog and the cat and the wife and I and the, goof and monkey business we do here, So that's what I nailed them on, pretty much. And then once I started reading the revenue code for the state of Florida, which took me 2 years to really dissect it and really pin it down and get the definitions figured out, reading tons of American jurisprudence on local and state taxation, property rights, and all that stuff. That's why I get people to go, oh, land patent. Land patent has nothing to do with why they're taxing the property. It's all criminal. That's how it's being taxed. It has nothing to do with your land patent. Land patent doesn't mean a damn thing. It's like having a receipt to a 30-year-old bicycle. It doesn't mean you own Swin or something because you got a receipt for a bicycle you had when you were 13 years old. Maybe that's what the land patent is. It doesn't mean a damn thing. All it says is that the government relinquished all interest in the property to some guy back in 18-something. After that, it doesn't mean a damn thing. And people have been totally misled on this land patent crap, okay?
Interesting.
As long as you've got a warranty deed, or I don't care if it's written on toilet paper or notebook paper, and as long as it was conveyed by the bona fide owner, then you've got legal title to the property.
Well, I have my original warranty deed right behind me.
Yeah. But you'll have people tell you that color title is not real true title, blah, blah, blah. That's all crap, too. Even on the property appraiser and tax collector's website, they give the definition of warranty deed, stating that it goes all the way back to the original origin of the property and all that kind of stuff. So they even define the warranty deed as being something that is technically basically attributed to the allodial title procedure. And therefore it's tied to the land pat in that sense.
Well, what about the, I know there's some groups that are talking about the simplest thing to do to secure that warranty deed is that you have to accept it. When you get it, you have to go down and you have to just do a simple procedure of accepting it on the record. It goes into the court record or the county record.
Yeah, I've heard that. Nope, more crap. Just more crap. Listen, we're the sovereign kings, they're the public servants. Tell me anywhere in history where the king had to verify and do an affidavit of deed or something to make sure that the subjects knew that the king owned the property.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, that's the way, and anytime you read early case law, they make it all clear that we took the rights of the king, we are the sovereigns like the king were, we have this now land, we now own allodially as opposed to feudally before the Revolutionary War. I mean, Chisholm versus, I can't remember, Georgia, I think. I mean, there's all kinds of great case law from the early 1800s explaining exactly the procedure and what the whole deal is about property rights. So no, I forget who's the guy, John Ryder, that's the guy who pushes that crap. Well, when you filed your warranty deed and you didn't file an affidavit within 6 months, now the state owns it. Show me the statutory procedure that says the state can now take ownership of someone's property because they didn't file some paper to back up their warranty deed. I can't even find anything here for it that says you even have to file that warranty deed with the county records. Well, until that property is used in a commercial aspect where you've got a corporate charter, an excise license, business license, occupational license, you business upon that property, they have no business talking to you at all. No different than selling an electric razor or your DVD player. There's not, after you do, it's a done deal. I mean, that's what people are totally being misled, I believe, by people who really don't apparently understand property ownership in America. Great American jurisprudence and juris securus, I'm sorry, I never say that right, corpus juris secundum, and read the property rights stuff, constitutional law, and then local, state, and taxation stuff. You'd be surprised the court rulings and the way the courts interpret all this stuff over the years, man, it just shows that all that crap is BS, man. BS. That you didn't tell your public servants that you own the property, therefore they can do whatever they want with it. Show me where there's any statute or constitutional provision that makes that perfectly clear in plain English language for any average idiot with a bad education could understand that that's what that means.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, just the jurisprudence of law. All laws must specifically and in plain language command or tell who it commands or forbids is something they have to do and what the penalty is for it. So once again, you can't find nothing. And plus, here's another thing I like to use, people with the property tax thing. You'd have to assume that your state, that the people of your state, voted in some form to tax themselves out of their homes. And then the legislature really, by constitutions of the states, could not even enact a law like that because it violates your right to own property. You can't have a right to own property and then still have to pay a municipal for-profit corporation thousands of dollars every year to live there. And if you don't, they'll just come with guns and take it and give it to somebody else. That's why the colonists picked up guns and started shooting the redcoats, man.
Yeah.
If he fell out of favor with the regime or the king, he'd just have the barons remove you and put somebody there who was in favor with the king and did the king's do, right?
Yeah.
But once I guess once you understand the history of it all, then the rest makes more sense. If there's no way these guys can do what they're doing, there is no laws that back what they do. They're just getting away with it because they've dumbed the American people down to just dumber than dirt, you know? When it comes to understanding what it means to be an American, most people don't have a clue.
No.
Not a clue.
No, it's been a horrible ignorance that's descended on...
Yes, and a willful ignorance. I mean, like I said, I got tons of friends that, dude, read this. I ain't got time for you. Yeah, you know. And that's the way mostly even my best buddies are having an attitude. Even though they know what I've done, they know where I'm at, they don't care. They're making an okay living, so problem for them to pay property tax in, so they're not going to make a big deal. You know, they can't afford to lose their property, all this crap. They don't care to understand it. They're just too busy smoking their dope and drinking their beer and watching their football. That's really all most of them want to do.
Yeah, I understand.
And I hate football. I'm a sports, auto sports, or motorsports fan, I guess. Motocross, supercross, IndyCar racing, Formula One. That's my thing. That's what I like. I hate football. To me, it's just so boring. Baseball.
Well, I'm the same way. Sports, I'm not into any kind of a sports. I don't mind once in a while, but Steve, what's your last name?
Emerson.
Emerson, okay. Jeff didn't know that, but
You have Skype?
What's that?
You have Skype?
Yes.
Well, damn, yeah, go ahead and we ought to connect there. Let's make it real nice to send documents back and forth and shove case law in the instant message stuff, do things like that. If you want, just put NASAELP into the contact thing. There'll be two of them, and you want the one that doesn't have a 2 at the end of it.
NASAELP. ELP.
Yeah, NASAELP. In other words, NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Engine, Logistics and Processing, or Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That's what I thought was so cool about that when I got that key code back there in the 80s when I started working on the shuttle program.
All right.
That was my old INET address, which of course it went on to this Titan, KSC.gov crap and all there behind it. You know, the NASELP was always my favorite part of that, so I used that as an email address, and now it's my Skype thing and everything, so nobody else has it, so it makes it where I use it just about anywhere. Very rarely you're going to find someone else with that same thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to...
And that same thing, email. You can do that at Yahoo, Gmail, you know, so that works the same way. ANT.net, InfoWars, I got all kinds of email addresses, so that's an ASAELP at yahoo.com. AT&T.net, Gmail, I think, and like I said, there's about 4 or 5 others I don't even remember. But,
yeah. Well, I'm going to pass some of this... Go ahead.
If you put that in the contacts for Skype and hit me up, then we'll be connected Skype-wise, and that'd be a lot better way to, like, say, transfer files and goodies. And
right,
maybe you got some great case law I've never seen before, and I got maybe some stuff you might be able to use, and it's a great way to shove that stuff back and forth, you know.
Yeah, I use Skype fairly often. In fact,
yeah, I'm on it usually all day and all night long, and then when I shut the computer down, that's about, you know, I go to sleep, that's usually my time I'm really offline, you know, or if I go, sometimes I have to get up and take off, so I don't even turn the computer on, so sometimes I'll go most of the day when I'm not there, and then all of a sudden, 5, 6 o'clock or something, I'm there, and I'm there till 2 or 3 in the morning, maybe 4 or something like that. And so if I'm cleaned up, that means I'm at least alive and awake, you know, and just hit me up, and as soon as I see you're trying to get me, I'll message you back. Hey, I'm here now, what's up, you know, and then if you want to call, talk, fine. We can use Skype or we can use landlines, you know.
Yeah, I'll send that out here shortly to friend you, and then I'll pass some of this info on to my group, the law club and what have you, because that's a good avenue to go down now, the commercial side of it. I mean, I think a lot of us understood that kind of thing, but you pick your battles, and right now I'm in the middle of a biggie, hopefully, that will benefit everybody in this country, but that's one I want to take on, and I started it a few years ago, challenging them on the constitutional, their rights to be doing what they're doing, and, you know, et cetera, but it'll take some research into the Colorado statutes and to pin them down and to show them that, yeah, look at this, it's commercial. It has nothing to do with residential, private property.
Oh, yeah, well, once again, you got to watch the word residential, but then again, see, a lot of these words have multiple meanings, you know. Real property, when you look at the Black's-Law Dictionary, it describes I consider to be the common meaning, and then it also goes into the commercial meaning. Just like the word cool, you know, either it's temperature, oh, that's cool out here, or something you admire or find really fascinating. Wow, that's cool. And in a way, the words are used the same way, just like you and I use the word person, meaning each human being. But, of course, statutory definition, about 90% of the statutes, the word person means some corporation of some kind or legal entity, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of people don't get. They'll be reading through these codes going, person, individual, that must mean me, you know, and they don't really understand how to take that definition. Same thing with the tax situation. Citizen, that's the key word. Anytime you look at the word citizen and taxing provisions, you have to think of business and income and profit making. Therefore, how can it apply to me? Even though I have a job at a McDonald's getting a couple $100 check a week, it does not mean I'm making income by the definition.
Right. Absolutely.
It might be common-wise. You and I might use the word income. Yeah, my income's down and I'm making enough money right now. But when it comes to the legal definition, income means something completely different. You know, and people don't get that. They want to start reading these tax codes and thinking the person's them, the income's them, the property, real property is their home and their land that they have. And when you start, you just can't go that route. You have to understand how to interpret the statutes when you're reading them.
Yeah.
I found very few people who do that really well.
Yeah, well, that's the big argument. One of the big ones I have is the income, the true constitutional legal definition of income, and it's pretty clear based on original intent of the courts, even the Supreme Court and Congress, and, you know, I've got a lot of evidence in there to show clearly that it is not wages, salary, and compensation for services.
Well, even Title 15, Section 17, first sentence makes it clear that all wages from labor and all is not considered income or commercial derivatives from commercial activity.
What's that, Title 15?
Yeah, I think it's Section 17, or 7 or 17. I got to look it up, but right there's the very first sentence there. Makes it actually clear that, the labor, money, or anything produced from the labor of a regular man is not considered income or, I don't know, I can't verbatim do that one, but that's pretty much the gist of it, though.
Yeah, I'll have to look that one up, because that one is worth putting into my file.
Then the title codes admit that your personal labor, and also I think CFR 1.83 or something also goes into some of that stuff too about personal services and things like that are not taxable income or something. Dave Merlin was really good with that side of it. He was really the king of that part of it, the IRS code. So I learned a lot of that from him, but I never had a dog in that fight. I mean, when I was about 17, I worked at a little convenience store, a little gas station place. That's the only time I ever filed a so-called return. Then I worked at a bar for a while, then I worked at Vans for a bit, then I started working for Boeing in the shuttle program and never put a Social Security number down. They made me fill out a W-2A form, which basically just relinquished them for taking the taxes out and made it clear that I'm responsible, and I've never filed nothing. Never filed nothing. See, there's another way to look at it, too. If the so-called failure to file was a truly bona fide enacted law by the legislature to apply to all the people, that means even a homeless guy under the bridge would have to go to jail for failure to file. You can't have just selective laws. That's like saying, well, murder's not illegal if you're really poor and got no money or if you're really rich. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All laws have to apply to everybody equally across the board. So that's why it just shows there that if that was really the case, then everyone, like I said, the homeless guy under a bridge would have to be filing every year. No matter what he's making, just put all zeros down at least, but at least he's filed. Therefore, he's in compliance with the true and enacted laws by the legislature. There's all kinds of periodic ways to look at this and put so much stuff on the table for these guys that they just can't really put anything on the table to show that you're wrong or that you're not interpreting it correctly.
Yeah.
And that's really the key of filing or writing any kind of complaint, is to put them in such a position they can't back at what they do in legislative, enacted, statutory, or constitutional procedures.
Simple question is, show me the authority, by what authority you're doing what you're doing. Simple.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's the thing, too. When you use a public records request, remember the public records request, or, okay, we're connected. The public records request, you're not to ask questions, you're asking for documents. So I asked for the documents and evidences, this particular procedure that you use to do this, and this, A lot of people misinterpret it. They want to use these public records requests like bitch letters or something. Now I'll have just a one sentence, 2 sentences max for my request. Show me the documentation and the enacted legislative law procedures that allow you to do this, and this, that you're using to do this, and this.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want documentation. Here in Florida, it's a third-degree misdemeanor if they don't answer them. And it even says in the Sunshine Law that under the Public Records Request Act that if they don't have the records, they have to forward it to the procurer of the records. And you catch them all the time never doing this. Why? Well, because they ain't got no answers for it. But then I have gotten answers from them. In some cases, when I took Ted's car, I did the city attorney, public records, was asking for the warrant, and she said no responsive answer to your request, meaning there was no warrant.
Right.
Well, sometimes you get lucky. And then when we did the property tax questionnaires, the public records question, the Attorney General, Bill McAuliffe, all we got was as well, what you're asking for is very expensive in scope. But you go to Florida Statutes 192, 193, went through like the whole 20 statutes that are part of the Revenue Code, so you can find it all there. Well, by court rule, that's not an answer. That's considered evasive and vague. Therefore, it's not considered an answer. So I used all that to pin these guys down to show that there is no procedure to do what they're doing. The state attorney can't answer. We had 5 different property appraisers and tax collectors in the surrounding counties asking the exact same statutes. What statutes are you using to levy this tax upon this type of property? And how are you assessing it? When the assessment procedure says it has to show the name of the business and income derived from the property, which has to be done through the return you file. They can't even do an assessment unless you file a return first. How are they going to know how much money was made off the property? So, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can throw at these guys that they just can't answer because they're just corrupting the procedure for financial gain.
Yes.
And that's probably the most worst crime you can do as a public official, is corrupt the proceedings so you can get money out of it. The same as like a DJ rigging a contest so his girlfriend wins all the concert tickets. You get caught doing that, you'll never work as a DJ in this country anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what these guys are technically doing, but like I say, once again, I just don't think people really understand the whole essence of the taxation or the code enforcement chumps and what they're able to do. Same exact thing. I would do public records requests to them. Show me what statute you're using to use an ordinance to come on private property and screw with whatever, and they never had any answers. But I have the Orlando Charter that makes it clear the ordinance only apply to city-owned and controlled property, and that's all they can apply to. Once again, maximum of all. Government can only control what it creates. Government did not create my home and my property. Government did not create me. So they can't control us. But they've got everyone believing that they can, believing they can enact all this, healthcare crap and all this junk and claim they're going to fine us if we don't sign up for something. The federal government has no control over the people whatsoever. Only the state governments have somewhat control. And even that is so limited by the Constitution, it's not even funny.
Yep, I agree.
But they're getting away with this stuff because they just got people dumbed down. They got them thinking that it's all some handout program. And thank God government's there to give us welfare checks and food stamps and all this crap. And it's just nothing but a big farce.
Yep.
And that the American people are completely ignorant to what it's all about. To be a living, breathing, carbon-based man living in America.
Agreed.
Yeah, I know. I know I'm preaching to the choir.
It's refreshing. It's just nice to know there's other people out there, and it's growing. There's more people waking up. I mean, I talk to people all the time that are, and you start a little fire in their brain, and a lot of them are brain dead. A lot of them are just going to have their hands out for Obama money for the rest of their life, and they're the ones that are going to suffer the worst, I'm afraid, if all hell breaks loose or there's a civil war or whatever may come down the road.
Well, if people like us do what we do, all that crap will go away. If you like to say, here's why I like the property tax thing, because that's probably the most outrageous thing that they do. And I looked at the confidential financial reports for the state of Florida. They're bringing like $3 billion a year off the property tax. Now, if they were only taxing the property that they were legally allowed to tax, that would drop down to barely 20%.
Right.
Then they wouldn't have the money for all this crap they're doing, and their armed cars, and their SWAT teams, and their tanks and stuff. All that crap would go away. They wouldn't be able to fund that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just all it does is keep bloated, cancerous government growing, and that's what we're going to work on. But we'll just keep going, man, at the grassroots level. You might even consider doing a YouTube presentation of some type. Just highlight it. Just give somebody enough meat to where they've got months of work to that they can do. But that would be a huge service. Or even put something together as an e-file or something, and you could sell it if you wanted to. Labor is worthy of his hire. But
Well, let me tell you something that I've told a bunch of people. Back when we did this suit and got that $38 million, my buddy John gave me the $8.2 million part of it, so I don't give a damn about money no more. I'm to the point where I'm trying to get away from this stuff. I want to go back to riding my dirt bike and playing with my synthesizer and fondling my life, okay? That's one of the things that I would really miss doing that I just don't seem to have time to do anymore because I've gotten caught up in this stuff. Right now I'm working another Title 42 suit over an elderly woman who lost her own property taxes. I've tried to write that now for several months. I got an animal control case I'm working for a friend of mine where they took his dog off over some crap, so we got that running through the courts, and I'm just so busy dealing with just my immediate people here in the neighborhood, I ain't got time to help anybody 50 miles or 100 miles or 500 miles away from me,
Yeah, well, at least you're giving back, you're serving, you're helping people that need it. That's a commendable thing. That's what we're here to do.
Well, my attitude is if it's this bad, and I'm 49, will be 50 here in April, if it's this bad now, how bad will it be in 10 or 20 years when right now at least I can fight them, whether it's paper or physically shooting them. I can do that now. I don't know where I'm going to be in 20 years from now, so at least I know I can do it now. So it makes sense to do it now. And like I say, if we don't do nothing, it's just going to get worse,
Yeah.
We've got to start really putting the dampeners on these jerk-offs and shutting this crap down a little bit where we have some relief and hopefully I can live a nice old life like my granddaddy and my dad apparently have, you know what I mean?
Yep, I agree. That's what we're
right now, I don't see that happening if this stuff keeps going this way. They'll have your property taxes up to $20,000 a year, and everyone will be losing their homes with this fraud they're doing. So It's really important that we stop that kind of crap at least. And if we do that, we quit funding these bastards, quit funding our destruction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if you have the first case, if you're willing to file that, I know it doesn't relate to Colorado at all, but it's just nice to see the layout of it and be something to pass to the law club, and to give them ideas on where to go for Colorado, because we got people that have a lot of time on their hands, and that would be a good project for them to do some research into Colorado law and start to help everybody here. But if you've got that suit that you guys won, forward it to me if you don't mind.
Yeah, let me say, hey, we had to do a non-disclosure thing when they got the money. So and I've been meaning to try to sit down and domain it, but it's like 180 pages. 70 or so, 60 pages are all attachments. So in order for me to do that, not only do I have to go through and get rid of all the addresses and all the crap and all the cases that are talking about the complaint, then I got to go through all the attachments, the warranty deeds, all the records requests, all their bid charts, all this crap they use, take out, bank out all the numbers. Then I have to go and scan all of it into a PDF file. It would take me weeks.
Yeah.
I just ain't had time. To me, it's like going back and correcting old homework. You know what I mean? You just don't want to dick with it. You know?
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. And I never got into this to teach anybody anything. And all I did was took these Title 42 books that you could find in 1983 suits all over the place, and they just had example forms. I just followed that example and just put in the information that I figured was relevant to the suit. So that's all I did. That's like another thing I get kind of an issue with you. It's like I done something with some carnal knowledge from God or something. I just read their damn books and followed the procedures and just filled the complaint out. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like you really need my stuff to figure this thing out. You just have to read the procedures and get the books and things and look at them and look at the forms and the example forms, American jurisprudence. Here's the deal. I have a friend of mine that has American jurisprudence on DVD-ROM. Now, if you want to buy that from Westlaw, they want like $3 or $4 grand for it. For a $200 little donation, because he's a crippled guy, he's a real computer geek, and he was born with a crappy hip, but he hacked that for me. When I first got it, a friend of mine, a lawyer friend of mine, gave it to me with a key code. And then Westlaw wanted like $100 for each additional key code, which that's great if you're a lawyer. It's no big deal to pop out $5 or $1,000 to get a bunch of key codes so you can load it on the computers in your law office, you know. So he sells that for like, I'd say donation's a better word for it. And it's probably copyrighted material, so he could get in a little trouble. That's why he does it and I don't, you know. And but you could have American jurisprudence on your computer with all the pleadings and practice forms. He's got this disc I gave him that has 6,000 of the top U.S. Supreme Court cases ranging from every kind of property right, taxes, all kinds of crap. It's totally a law library on your computer. If you want to get it and copy it with all your friends, I don't care what you do with it after you get it, but I made a deal. At first I'd given it away, and he's like freaking out, and he goes, dude, you can sell all this stuff for $1,000. I don't know anyone who's got $1,000 to buy that, you know, but maybe a couple $100 or something would be fair. So I've kind of let people know that it seemed like they have some brain activity going on that would know what it is, you know. I mean, you give American jurisprudence to somebody, it'd be like the guy walking down the street, like giving the schematics to the main engine controller on a space shuttle, you know. It's like, what the hell is this, you know? They just throw it away or something, or set it in a stock someplace. So whenever I do find people that might really understand what it is and understand how valuable of a resource it is, I usually try to make a point to see if they would like to obtain it. And since he acted for me and has helped me with that kind of stuff over the years, you know, I just tell them that. If anyone wants it, I'll tell them to send you a little donation, and you send the disc off to them, and they have it. So if you're interested, there's a way to get it if you want.
I've made a note on that. I should have mentioned this before. Usually when I get into conversations like this, I record them. Do you mind that?
I don't care.
Okay. Because it's habit. I do that with any calls that come in, or not any, but most, you know, that have anything to do with this, because then I can sit down, put them on my computer, go through it, make notes.
Well, that's great. Well, I mean, yeah, because I hate it when people call me 10 times asking me the same questions over and over. It's like, record the conversation and you can just listen to it, you know?
Well, do you mind if I pass it to my law club people?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to...
I mean, I didn't say anything illegal, I don't think, so...
No, not at all. And it doesn't matter, because you're giving your opinion, your experience, and that's the First Amendment, so... All right, Steve. Well, I appreciate this. It's a lot of food for thought, and I'll pass this on, and maybe I think I might even email it or Skype it to Jeff, so he can listen to it and maybe get some ideas too.
What was your first name?
Jeff.
You're Jeff too. Okay.
Yeah. Jeff.
Okay. That's why I was a little confused. I thought, well, I don't think this is Jeff. He keeps saying Jeff and talking about Jeff, so I just want to make sure I knew. Jeffs. Wow. Sounds like a disease. I got 2 Jeffs. Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Like I said, I mean, I don't mind talking. I mean, if I can, I got the time, I'll talk to anybody, you know, and just to let them know what I found and what the facts are. I mean, if I don't know anything, I'll tell you. I don't know anything about that. I've never done it. I'm the first to do that. That's not a problem for me at all to tell you I don't know anything about this, you know.
Yeah.
That's why when you said it's for U.S. Supreme Court, I think when I talk to the other French chefs, like, I don't know. I've never been there before, so I don't know if I could help him much at all in that area. I don't have any experience with in a couple of small claims in this replevin thing over this car dig right here in the circuit court, and right now I've won every case I've ever done, especially probably about 20 or so cases defending where friends of mine got arrested for stupid googly crap. I'll help them with that. But if you're going out robbing grocery stores or something, I can't help you with that. You know what I mean? I had this one kid come to me, a friend of a friend, sort of. The kid, he outran the cops and hit a car and did all kinds of crap. Wouldn't know if I could help him. Like, dude, you screwed up, man. I can't help you with this. You should have just pulled over. You just had to spend his life with you. You made this big, huge car chase out of it and wrecked a couple cars, and now the cops are accusing you of trying to run him off the road and do all kinds of crap. I don't know how to help you with that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's comes a time where you got to say you messed up, but most people I've known over the years have been arrested for the goofiest, stupidest stuff, like trespassing at the courthouse crap and crazy things like that, which I've gone in there, filed motions to dismiss, and went interrogatory to admissions. Next thing you know, they're dismissing the case because they got no foundation to do what they were doing to start with. You can't trespass someone from a courthouse. But they tried because they didn't like Joe, because he kept going in there raising hell with the clerks about how much they were charging for copies of stuff and showing that the sunshine laws was 15 cents a paper, and they're trying to charge $1 a shot there, and that's not the place to do that. Of course, Joe's not the most brightest guy in the world, but they did screw with him and arrested him and tried to, technically prosecute him for trespassing the courthouse.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I nailed it. Within 4 weeks after that happened, I got it dismissed. The county judge looked at him with this crap, and he just dismissed it. So, I mean, that's only because I threw all this paperwork at him and the constitutional provision saying you have that right to access to the court. I went through the trespass procedure, which easily said the only person that could do that was the person that owns the property, because it has to sign the trespass warning. Well, the assistant clerk that did this did not own the courthouse, so therefore it was a fraudulent process and a misuse of process and a color of law action against Joe. And the judge looked at it right away and said, this is crap, and he dismissed it.
Yeah.
I got dozens of cases like that, man, that I've technically won every case I've done so far. Animal control stuff, where animal control goes to take some dog from somebody for some stupid snap on the back of somebody's cap claiming that's a serious injury, when the definition of serious injury is that all this broken bones, disfiguration, and all kinds of constructive surgery has to occur. That getting nipped on the back of the heel is not a reason, or it gives them the authority to take the dog and try to kill it. But that's what they tried to do, and we beat them on that because they just were totally out of touch with the guiding provisions and the statutes that didn't come under play there. So the key is reading their stuff, knowing it better than them, and that appeared to be what worked well for me, and this is times I've had to do this stuff. So that's the only advice I have for people is read the damn law.
Yeah.
I know it sucks, but nobody really wants to do that. They want to listen to some jerk on a talk show program or something, give you this, fly-by-night routine, and, you just take this paper and this negative avertment and all this gobbledygook crap and file that, and then the courts ignore it because they don't have a clue what it is either, okay? I know people have been taught to believe that these judges have this sacred carnal knowledge, it's hidden stuff. Man, listen, most of these judges are dumber than dog shit, okay? They don't have a clue what they're doing in most cases. That's what I found.
Yeah.
And I nailed them on it. I showed that they're in non-compliance with the provisions and the general law and all this stuff, and what they're doing is illegal, and, they give up every time. And that's the key to court cases. Who gives up first,
Yep. Who leaves the battlefield?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. Who leaves the battlefield? There you go. And that's exactly what I like to think is an art that I have a fair understanding of how to achieve that now. And, yeah, I don't have a problem telling people my thoughts on it, I guess, or happy reading, huh?
Yeah. All right.
Are you in Colorado, too?
What's that?
Are you in Colorado?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado.
Okay, and you talked to somebody that was in Pennsylvania with a Maryland issue. Is that what I understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff Smiles. Yeah.
Then, is this other Jeff guy, is he in Colorado, too?
Who's the other
one? Or is that the Maryland? Okay. So, well, then who was the guy that's in Maryland and Pennsylvania thing?
Yeah, that's Jeff Smiles.
Oh, my God. So we got 3 Jeffs? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, he's got both of those properties.
Okay. I thought he was in Colorado also.
No, he lives in Pennsylvania.
There you go. Okay, that's what I remember now, yeah.
He's got the home.
Okay, I think I talked to a guy somewhere there in Pennsylvania and in Colorado not too long ago, and he was having a real hard time finding the Colorado laws and statutes and stuff, so, if I remember who he is, I guess I should, shove him your way, because he was truly, totally green.
Well, that's where we all started.
I got someone calling me on the other line, man. Well, we can Skype later or something or whatever, okay?
All right, Steve. Thanks a lot, guy.
All right, Chuck. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Good conversation.